And so then it's like, oh no.
Exactly. Thank you for the
Okay.
reminder.
Yeah, all good. Well, Raina and Jessica, so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming to today. And yeah, like Annie said, I help wellness professionals, but also just really anyone who is wanting to help their clients seek some kind of transformation, which is so much what coaches are doing and trying to just help people get to from point A to point B. I started my career as a dietitian and then moved into really wanting to help other dietitians and helping professionals market and reach their customers and have someone on their side who knew about marketing, could talk about marketing, and just support them and focused then in on websites. And I really enjoy the work of just making stuff look really good, make you feel really proud of your website and confident about it. But then, as Annie said, also having it work as a system that actually helps you scale your business and get more leads, and all that work that you're doing on lead gen and outreach and all of that, that it's actually having some results on the back end on your website, because that's, it's two parts of the puzzle. So yeah, I'm excited today to chat through how your website can be that sales engine working in tandem with the outreach efforts and lead generation efforts that you're already doing, and maybe some areas where you might want to improve what's going on with your current website. And like Annie said, any questions that you have like throughout, I do want this to just kind of be conversational. I am a little bit under the weather, so if you hear stuffiness, that's why. But yeah, just kind of want to help in whatever way I can. So yeah.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Well, I have to ask because I'm curious, and we all have our starting stories of when we lost our business, and I haven't heard yours yet. So,
Mm.
what did it look like when you first started and you were trying to get clients specifically? Like, what did you do? What worked? What didn't work?
Yeah. So I launched my business while I had a full-time job, and I was thinking about my business for probably a year and a half behind the scenes and what business I wanted. So ruminating on that, and then finally got up the courage to make a business card. And I was going to a conference where my ideal customers were going to be, and got the gumption to finally print out a business card and be like, okay, I'm going to be telling people that I'm going to do websites. And that was my first little kind of foray. And then I did hire a business coach, like pretty much because I was struggling to quit my job. I could not muster the courage to tell my boss that I was quitting.
Mm.
And so I needed a coach to help me through that, and to also on the flip side have the confidence to say, okay, this can actually be successful and I can overcome the challenges of entrepreneurship. And so she and I started working through, okay, well, what are those things to generate leads and generate interest? And so she had me starting just by reaching out to my network. So I went on LinkedIn and read through all of my prior connections and all the people that I potentially ever connected with throughout my career. And even if they weren't my ideal customer, I was reaching out to them to literally just check in and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing about my business, and this is what I'm up to. Would love to hear what you're up to, and just catch up. And so it was just trying to be just more about networking in the beginning. And I got some
Mm-hmm.
of my best clients, that some of them are still clients for me actually from that networking 6 years ago. So I think there's so much power in that. And I personally had regrets as to how I did not necessarily grow and nurture my network while I was working a full-time job. I was like, man, there were so many more people that I did connect with that I just thought I was just going to work this corporate job forever. I didn't need to have all these connections. Like, I'm good. And then suddenly it was like, oh yeah, you know what? It would have been good to maybe connect with those people a little bit more. But still, obviously, it worked out. And then also online communities. So for me, it was Facebook groups, and maybe for many of you all, also it's that. But that's where my ideal customers were hanging out, and going into those and just answering questions that were related to the kind of work that I was working on, and either just answering a question or dropping a link to a lead magnet that I had or a blog article that I had written, and just saying, hey, I can help with this. dropping links to my scheduler, dropping links to my website, whatever it was, and doing that a couple times a week consistently was really helpful too, because those, even though social media, we kind of know moves pretty quickly and content doesn't last forever, you are responding to someone's question, I need a website designer. If someone searches in the group for website designer, they are going to see those questions that have been asked in those threads and people responding and all of that. So I felt like there was some longevity to it, maybe not as much as like a blog post, but definitely that was helpful too. So yeah, those are some of the initial things.
That's really helpful. And just one follow-up question on the Facebook groups, because I know we've been talking about that a little bit in the lead gen program. Any suggestions for coaches on how to find the right groups or how to find groups in general?
Well, I would probably just search for some keywords in Facebook for groups that are whoever your target customer is or the kinds of needs. So if you are financial services for small business owners, maybe just looking for some groups that are focused on small business owners. Maybe it's in a specific part of the country. I was focused on dietitians at the time. So there was one about dietitians who were bloggers. There was another one about dietitians who were entrepreneurs. So it was like, okay, that's a good one to go in, obviously. But I think anywhere where you just have to kind of reverse engineer it if it's not completely obvious, where to go. And, Facebook groups run the gamut in terms of quality. The ones that have like 10,000 people in them, well, actually 10,000 isn't that bad anymore. It's when it's like 50,000 and it's like worldwide or 100,000. I wouldn't necessarily look for quantity. I would be looking for quality. So go ahead and join a bunch of them and then just go in there and look to see. And if there's not much engagement in posts, if it looks like there's a lot of spam, then it's probably not like a quality place where you're going to stand out from the crowd. But I had joined one where now it is at 10,000, but I think when I joined, it was probably at 5,000 members or something, maybe less. And so it wasn't filled with just like riffraff. It was people who are legitimately working on their businesses, having questions. And those I think are the groups to focus on. And so what I would do is I joined a bunch of them. And then once you're in them for a little bit, you kind of start figuring out, okay, these are the quality ones. And you could just have like a little note or something on your computer that has the links to the 4 that you want to make sure you keep going into, or, maybe this one is good, but it's not super active. So you don't need to check it more than once a week to see if there's anything going on, or this one's super active and I've gotten some really good responses in here. So maybe I should check that one 2 times a week, 3 times a week, and give yourself like a little schedule and just see how that goes. And then after a time, I had people on my team that were helping me to look in the Facebook groups and just save posts that they thought I might want to engage with. And that was easier. Then I wouldn't have to be searching. I could just have a list to go after. Yeah.
Awesome. That's super helpful.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears into your bread and butter, which is websites. And I'm really excited. I built my website from scratch by myself. And I think a lot of us are either I know a couple of us are redoing our websites right now and adding lots of different products. So I guess my first question is, do we need a website? Because I've spoken with some people that actually say you don't need a website. You can just have a link in bio or some sort of funnel page. I go back and forth. So convince me, why do we need a website?
Yeah. I would say that obviously I'm going to say you need a website, but I think the reasons are that all those other platforms, so like social media, having a great LinkedIn platform or profile is great. All of those things are great, but they can be crowded and they're not your place. You're just renting space from Instagram for your profile or from LinkedIn, and you can have a little banner image and whatever, but it's not really giving the feeling of like, this is you, this is what is you. And so your website can be that spot where people can truly get that full picture of who you are. You know, you've got great copy on there, brand photos, showing your face, really giving that feeling of like, this is what I'm about. This is what you can expect from working with me. And I just don't think that there's another medium out there when it comes to marketing that can really do that fully, because it's also not just about the surface level of, okay, you know, one landing page, one lead page. It's also the depth of, okay, there's an about page that's talking a little bit more about your background and your credentials. And you're going to have a blog that has some content so that people can learn more about whatever problem they're dealing with and get educated or understand your approach to something. And obviously talking about your services and going in depth there. And people really need to be pecking around and touching a lot of different things before they're, most of them are going to be ready to actually engage and work with you. And so, you know, just having something that is more flat and not really going in depth and allowing people to really get to know you and feel seen and heard by you, is, you know, it's just not giving that same kind of level of connection. And then also, I just have to say, like, pretty much every business has a website. You know, I definitely, like, I travel. There's a lot of people I come into contact with there where I am trying to hire someone for something as a hairdresser or whatever. And, you know, if they don't have a website, I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll deal with this. But if I'm hiring someone to work with me in my business, I want to hire them for professional services. If they're just saying, go to my link in bio, or I have this kind of thrown together page or a collection of links, you know, it's not that, for some people that could be a make or break where a buyer might say, yeah, no. But I also think that for so many of us as buyers, it's a constellation of all of the things. And we'll talk about like how it really becomes that salesperson for you. So maybe you not having that professional website is not going to be the end reason, but it's going to then take a lot of convincing. That person has got to be like, really like, okay, I'm ready. Or they might be starting to think, well, maybe she or he is offering a lower price, because it doesn't look like they're really investing a whole lot in their business. So they're not really seeing the value in you. So I think it's just, it's part of kind of growing that base of trust that a buyer needs to have. And it fills those gaps that some of these other platforms, it's not replacing social media. It's in addition to it. It can enhance those other efforts and platforms.
Yeah, that really makes sense. And I think everyone on this call pretty much has a beautiful website and has done a lot of work to build out their website. So I'm curious, you know, what takes a website, in your opinion, from pretty good to really this sales engine? What are some of the elements and things that you're looking for?
So one of the biggest things is the copy. I mean, so if we're talking about pretty, we're kind of taking pretty off the table, or on brand, professional. Okay, you have consistent fonts, you have photos that are on brand and consistent. You know, it works on mobile. You don't have alignment issues or usability issues or accessibility issues. So after all of those things are done, then people are going to stay, and then they're going to start reading. And so I think having really well thought through copy that is using the words of your customers and really speaking to their specific pain points and the solutions that they're looking for and all of that, I think that is one of the critical things that takes a website from just being a generic dime a dozen. Because you can set up a Squarespace template in 2 seconds, a beautiful one, or show it, you know, pick your poison. But you can very quickly, you're like, wow, this is really pretty. And then you start reading and you're like, this doesn't really like, okay, they've got 3 packages. This one pack includes this one includes this. Okay, it's $600 for this one. All right. Like, you know, it's not really giving too much connection. And so I think the copywriting, and I'm sure people in here can attest, can be one of the most challenging things, because we're trying to get in the heads of our customers to figure out what are the words that they're using, to really talk about their problems. Sometimes they're different words than what we're using to talk about their problems. So that takes time to think through. And then having those sections on the website that are going through answering those things, because obviously we don't need to write a novel on our homepage. We can use all of the sections of our website to get those points across. So on the homepage, we want to first be addressing the customer and making them feel like this is for you, the site is about you, I'm talking to your specific problems and all of that before we're talking about ourselves or talking about our solutions. But then as we go down the homepage, then we want to be talking about our solutions, but still from a benefit standpoint, as opposed to just okay, these are the things that are included in the packages. You know, what's the difference between this package and this package helping you achieve your goal or whatever the case may be. And then as we go down, talking about ourselves and having an about page that talks about it. And then on our services page, having an FAQ section that's answering specific questions that people might have, and having those calls to action throughout the site, but also having our pages talk to one another so that when someone goes to that about page to read more about you because they're interested, sending them to the services page next, or sending them to a blog article next, or wherever you think they might want to go, or a couple places that they might want to go. Versus there's websites that I've been to where it just is a dead end. You know, you go to the about page and it's just like, here's a long paragraph of who I am and my credentials, and then it just stops. And it's like, or, you know, or the footer has just a, you know, really quick, like, call me if you want to book a call or send me an email. And I think that's then the next piece too, is that sales system of what is your process in the sales process. Is it to get someone on a call, get them to apply? How can you make that as frictionless as possible? Because I think the other issue is that people think that having like just sending people to a contact form. I've seen sites where they say, okay, book a call, but then it just goes to a contact form. And to me, that's pretty frustrating as a customer, right? I thought I was going to literally be able to book a call, but instead I have to email you back and forth to find a time. So then, you know, if you have kept people's attention and kept them from leaving because it looked nice, and then you got them to engage with you and feel good by reading, and then they're ready to take action, we want it to be really easy for them to take action. So making sure we have some kind of scheduler or automated piece in there. And then for all the people that aren't ready, because most of the people that come to our sites are not going to be ready yet, then we want to have a way for them to stay in touch with us and get some value, but not have to take that leap into booking a call. And so we do that through the opt-in and having a lead magnet of some sort, so that people can get onto an email list and continue to hear from us and learn from us. So making sure we have that on multiple pages, maybe have a few. You know, I really like it when people have a few where, you know, this blog post is related to this topic. Okay, have this lead magnet in here. And then a different blog post. Okay, it's going on a slightly different topic, but, you know, you might have your content pillars of kind of the things you talk about. So aligning those lead magnets to those content pillars and topics. And then finally, you know, talking about blogging is a way to keep traffic coming through. So we might be doing outreach efforts and all of that, which is great, but then how are we laying the foundation for just organic traffic coming in regularly from Google and other search engines by having some well-optimized blog posts. And again, having those blog posts be, okay, lead magnet, or sometimes the CTA is to book a call. So we want all of the pieces connected and talking to each other and moving people into that next step, as opposed to, again, like a dead end blog post that's just great for someone to read, but then it doesn't call anyone to action for anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's all really helpful. I'm also thinking about the ideal user journey, and I'm curious because I know a lot of us, our final call to action is to book a call.
Okay, great.
You encourage people to navigate that, because it sounds like we want them to be able to book a call and make it really easy. We also don't want to offer that too early. So
Mm.
how, like, what's the journey that you envision or you encourage coaches to have people go through from home page to call? Do you send them through multiple pages? Do you put that button on the home page?
So, you know what, I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. And like
Mhm.
show, because sometimes I think it's easier. I'm just thinking about that now. I know, um, sometimes you have people present, but I'll present now for a sec. Um, so like I mentioned, I run a program that helps dietitians and wellness folks, wellness professionals and coaches set up their sites. So we have templates that we install, and then you customize it with your copy and your branding and all of that. And so this is one of the templates. And so just to kind of call out some of those ways that we pepper in all of these different like sales pieces here. So like having a banner at the top that is either a limited time offer or a lead magnet or some other thing that you want to call attention to at the top here. And then I do like having book a call in the navigation, or you can, you know, if it's an application or something like that. I don't necessarily feel that you need to have contact in the navigation.
Okay.
I still think contact is necessary and helpful, but you can have that in the footer. I think having an option for people to reach out to you. I've heard people kind of go back and forth on it, like I don't want everyone reaching out to me and all of that. It's like I get it. I don't think people are. I don't think you're going to get necessarily a ton of, you know, people kind of sending messages to you, but if you only allow your customers to book a call as the only way to ever ask you a question, then it kind of puts up a barrier and it doesn't show that you're
Yeah.
necessarily coming from a place of help.
Mhm.
But what I recommend on your contact form is to give a little bit of prompting to people so that they aren't feeling also like they're just sending a contact form out into the void. So even on this contact page, I do say, hey, if you want to book a call, you can go over here. So we're giving them like one last chance. If they'd actually rather talk, then please book a call because that's my preference. But if they do want to ask a question, then they can do that, asking what services they're interested in, what are you hoping to achieve, just a few things to get a little bit more information as opposed to just having it be like a name, what's your question type of form.
Mhm.
Um, and so then we also have a call to action here that is also going to the booking page, but you could easily have this go to the services page, or if you have a resources page that you have some good things and you think that people actually in your sales process probably are going to want to download something from you first before booking a call, maybe you send them there. And then once they get that, then you're going to nurture them and then ask them for the call. But
Yeah.
I would make sure that on that resources page, you are still talking about your services and giving a book a call option as well. But then we go through and we have just talking about services. These buttons all go to the services page. We have a newsletter, or you could have your opt-in here as well. And then at the bottom, also having a lead magnet opt-in. And this is actually on the bottom of every page because we want to give people that option. But then we go to the about page just as another example. So we've got like a CTA to the services page right at the top. So people still like, yes, you can read about me, but also know that I'm here to help you. We have a CTA to book a call here. And then down here, we have that invitation to come and explore some other things. And I'll just go to the services page real quick. And so this is an example of a page where we just have all the services just on one services page, but you could also have, you know, a different page for every service. And all of these
Mhm.
buttons are going to book a call. And then down here, we have frequently asked questions. And then we're also inviting them to get in touch with us if they have a question that hasn't been answered here. And as we saw, yes, they're going to the contact form, but if they want to talk on the phone, we're giving them that option too. So, and then I'll just show the blog real quick. This one. And so on the side here, we're inviting them to learn more about us. Go to the about page. We have our free opt-in on the side here. And then we would have a CTA to schedule a call in the blog posts. So
Okay.
everything, talking to each other, sending people around, because we don't know where people are coming from when they land on our website. When they're Googling, it may show that our about page is the most relevant, or one of our blog posts is the most relevant, or, you know, maybe you dropped your link in a online community in a Facebook group, and it was to your resources page, for example. So we want to make sure that no matter where they land on the site, they're going to have a clear idea of where they should be going next and that they can navigate around. So I think it is really important to have those CTAs throughout. And yeah, maybe in an email nurture sequence or in a conversation with someone on social, we wouldn't necessarily want to be like, hey, how are you doing? Do you want to book a call?
Mhm.
You know, we want to kind of like ease into it a little bit more. But our website is having people come from so many different places in the customer journey that we do want to be giving, no matter who you are and where you're coming from, that option to, you know, to engage.
Yeah. Awesome. And do you, I was thinking about this too, when it comes to you sharing your website on other, if you're doing it on social, are you regularly sending people to the homepage? Would that be your preference that they're navigating through that information first, or are you sending them to the most relevant page?
I send them to the most relevant. Yeah. So, you know, if it's about services, if like literally someone was like, I need help with this, like, well, they're pretty much they're ready to go. So I think the homepage is a good starting point, but we're also going to be talking about a little bit of who what that customer is struggling with on the services page as well. So it's not like, you know, they're kind of coming in the middle of the book and, you know, missing the first part. We do want that language to be kind of used throughout, but yeah, if it feels like that conversation is pretty close to them wanting to just know what you do and what you offer and all of that, I wouldn't make them start at the homepage and have to kind of find their way there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I'm thinking about, I know for a couple of our coaches, they have some pretty different offerings that are not necessarily as similar as what you're showing, like one-on-one coaching, group coaching,
Right.
expert advice. It might be like a course versus a book, or two very different types of, career services. So do you have any suggestions for how to lay out a website in a way that's easy to navigate when you have that kind of a thing going on?
Yeah. And that's something I definitely encounter a lot with the people I work with too, the entrepreneurs I work with, because we have all that stuff going on, you know. It's not necessarily, oh, we're just doing one-on-one. It's good to balance the revenue streams, have a few different diversify them and all of that. So just going back to the website then to talk through how it could go. So you could still have your homepage talking about this thing versus, but instead this is a course, or maybe you have a group of courses. You know, you have courses, you have books, and then you have some consulting. But it can really be grouped in any way. One thing I like to think about is, first off, what is your most important service that you are wanting to sell? Who is your most important customer? What's like your biggest revenue stream, or the one you're wanting to grow the most? Because that should be then the one that you are kind of putting first on the homepage. Or if your most important service that makes the most money for you, the sales process leads to a discovery call, then you should have the book a call in the navigation. You should have your CTAs going to book a call. But if you do the consulting, but your courses is really where you make the most money, and your sales funnel and process for that starts with someone coming to a masterclass or a webinar, then I would say all of your CTAs should be sending people to that and should be really trying to push people into that sales funnel. Now, you can still have a section on your homepage and a services page that is talking about your consulting, and you can still have a page to book a call or, you know, apply or whatever the case may be. But I always think that you put that priority service as the one that you're going to kind of put over others. And then you could have different pages for each offering. So I've had some customers who they also have different niches slightly. So they are maybe serving moms going through menopause, but they're also serving moms who are trying to handle their picky eater as well. So they're
Yeah.
moms, you know, but they're like very different options, or maybe they're offering speaking services and they're doing one-on-one consulting. So those are different, you know, that's one like business to business versus business to consumer. And so those, I think the first thing you should do is kind of think through what's that common thread of what you're offering or kind of helping people with, and use that as some of that copy at the top of your page, because I know that can be challenging. It's like, well, I don't want to alienate one over the other and
Yeah.
make the corporate wellness people feel like, you know, they're in the wrong spot. So find that one thread, and then you can kind of help people choose their own adventure a little bit and talk through, you know, I help people in these two ways, and you can have even two buttons to take people to two different pages, and you could have basically a version of the services page, one for the corporate wellness people and one for the counseling, for example. And then if you have courses, like this is a page, and I'm sorry, I'm about to have a coughing fit. You could also have a long form page that's really speaking more to like a program or a course or a book or something like that, that really,
Yeah.
you know, needs to be sold in a different way. And you can have that be a separate page.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna cough.
Yeah, take your time, Whitney. I also think in the chat, Jessica had asked about pulling up some of our websites for feedback. Would that be okay with
All
you,
right,
Whitney, if we took turns?
let's do
Okay.
it.
I think that'd be really fun. Jessica,
Yeah, let me
since you
stop
threw it
my
in, do you want to go first?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, because it's just it helps us translate it immediately. So,
Totally.
so my website is jessicamenka.com, and I don't think I have the ability to share screen, so you could maybe pull that up and just go.
Okay.
And I get a lot of compliments on my website, like Annie. I have a tech background, do-it-yourselfer. I built that website. I get a ton of compliments on it. I also get a ton of leads. I wouldn't say a ton. I get leads come through my website directly and book me and hire me. They resonate with the content. Thank you. They resonate with the content. They resonate
Thanks.
with like how, like you said, like it sees them, understands them. It like cuts to the chase a little bit. But I look at it and I'm like, this is all over the place. Like it doesn't do what you just were talking about, which is kind of like to zoom people down in. It feels like I've got my hands in several cookie jars. And yeah, and even like visually, it's okay. It's not even showing me on the above the fold. So yeah, so anyway, that's just my self-critique, but I'd love to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on just even the homepage there.
Okay, I love it. All right. So just to reiterate, because I was taking it all in and you were talking. So you do get people booking calls and it generates leads for you.
Absolutely.
But you feel that it's a little still all over the place and not really, or yeah, what are kind of some challenges that you have with it?
Well, two main things is that I think that it still looks like I'm doing a lot of different things, but I'm not being so clear as like you know exactly what I'm doing. Coaching for overthinkers is probably the baseline, but then I'm doing stuff with people on their inner limits, or I'm doing stuff with them on career. So it's not necessarily, I don't believe in having a category of coaching. Coaching is coaching. You coach the whole person. So,
Mm,
but the public sees it as it's career coaching or it's
right.
life coaching or it's executive coaching. And so I've really avoided trying to use those labels. So I really
Mm,
struggle with what the navigation says at the top because I could
mhm,
easily flip those to be career coaching, life coaching, and business coaching.
mhm,
Second thing Annie mentioned was having kind of two value ladders. So I have courses and I have books that I want to showcase, but I want to like do it in a way where like I don't know if cannibalizing is the right word, but like I don't want people to like like stay
yeah.
in one value ladder when the real drive is to come with me and speak with me one-on-one. So there's always
Mhm,
that tension of like, how much do I even put my course stuff in here and how do I do
mhm,
that?
mhm, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I think the fact that you have the goal of the one-to-one as being the main driver and the other things being something that's supportive, but not necessarily like the main thing. I think that the way this is set up definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I love, I mean, I think that for the people who are like, oh yeah, I definitely overthink things. I can't make a decision. I need someone. I mean, even like I mentioned, I needed a coach to help me quit my job because I was just really overthinking it and overanalyzing it a whole lot. Um, and I think that, I mean, make the shift from performance to personal power. So I think one thing you could do if you haven't already is also just if there are a couple of clients that you feel you really did a great job with or are doing a great job with, is asking them, like, how would you describe the work that we do? How would you describe to someone else? Like if you had a friend who was dealing with this, how would you describe me? Is it, because even though I get it can be tough with the labels, but at the same time, if that's what our ideal customers are searching for, if you fit into that category, then having some of that so that people can be like, oh, okay, this is what you're doing and what the result is. So I could potentially think about I'm going to scroll down to, okay, well, yeah, maybe a little bit more specific about like what is that end goal? What are they trying to achieve?
Yeah.
If it is, it's for the people who are X, Y, and Z, or who are trying to get X, Y, and Z and just not quite getting there. And if you are doing it in a lot of different realms, if it is about career and life and all of that, that's fine. But if people are coming, even if they're starting in one area, like where is that spot that they're starting so that they can at least focus on that? I agree. I hired my business coach to be a business coach. She became like a life coach, a relationship coach, an everything coach. I relied on her a lot. But at
Right.
first I was looking for a business coach. And so that's just something, especially above the fold. It's like, how do we not make people have to think and figure stuff out? Because you can talk about your approach later, but starting with like, okay, what's going to, for the person who's just browsing the internet, what's going to be the fastest way for them to understand what they're going to get out of working with me. So,
Right. Right.
um,
Instead of being cute or whatever, you know what I mean? Clever,
yeah,
the fun way you say it that you're in love with, and that's not
right.
gonna land as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
that.
As like Donald Miller says, like pass the grunt test, like if we were all cavemen and we just had to kind of like, you know, he says it much better in his book, but building a story brand. But basically, yeah, how can it be just something that someone 3 seconds is going to understand? Because if they understand it, then they're going to keep scrolling. But if they're like, what? Then they might leave.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, so and I would even say potentially, sometimes we don't want to encourage people to leave the site too soon. And right now, you technically have like 3 calls to action right in this little area. And I would maybe leave these until a little bit later. You could maybe put them down here if people want to learn more about you here, or split them up. If you have a really in-depth YouTube channel, maybe you could, and I'm still gonna, I guess, scroll. I haven't gotten the whole story yet. But yeah, I would say maybe reconsider having those there, because we
Sure.
want people to really like book a clarity call or keep scrolling.
Right. That makes
So
sense.
yeah, love that. I'm just going to scroll a little bit. Yeah, I love your calling out who they are. Just pick your own adventure kind of thing. Yep. Are you looking for this? Are you looking for that? And this is to help other coaches?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
And see,
Cool.
that's third, and I could totally take that off and have that be kind of private, that only when I'm in those engagements am I advertising that. So that's like a decision point I need to make this year.
Mhm. Yeah. Right. And it could be, yeah, it could also be like a little bit lower down, separated from
The two primary choices.
yeah, two primary things. I love that you're really saying like these are the things that we're going to work on.
Mhm.
Because that's like people really need those tangibles. Okay, got some testimonials, amazing. Great. And then this is your book. Yes, your
Mhm.
book. I would work on making this easier to read, just from a like accessibility, legibility standpoint.
Mhm.
Either put a background on this part. It's just a little tough to read.
Mhm.
Okay, you've got your clarity call. All right, and this is okay, and this is your newsletter. Okay, all right, so I got the full picture. Homepage. Yeah, I could even see you, because this is what you're offering, and it feels like kind of small in the context of everything else that is on your homepage. So
Mhm.
I feel like it could be beefed up too, because another thing is the visual weight of things, how much space something is taking up. It kind of gives you that sense of like how much. So like your book is taking up a whole section, but then your services are just kind of a small section.
Yeah.
And if these are pretty different in terms of like, you know, what are the package offerings, or like what's the length of the engagement, or just any more that you can be doing to kind of speak to what these things actually are, because some people will click and some people will not click. And so how can we give just like a little bit more so that they're really feeling engaged? And yeah, so I like that. And yeah, I feel like you could move this down if you'd like, even just in a smaller section, you know, and just asking, you know, are you a heart-centered coach looking for this? If you want that to be something that is still found on your site, but you could also probably stick it on your about page or someone else if or somewhere else if you'd like. So this is the career coaching. Oh, is this? Wait. Okay, so this is, yes.
Mhm.
So okay, so you've got the book as the first step. And then, okay.
It's so fascinating to watch your reaction, because it's like it's jumping and it's like, wow, I don't, so it's you're giving me feedback just even watching you do this. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, wow, you're making people, I mean, I'll just like speak frankly, you're kind of making people like think a whole lot before they
Mhm.
find out how you can actually help them. Which
Mhm.
there's a place for helping people kind of discover like what's going on for them and all of that. But, you know, I guess, yeah, I thought that like one-to-one coaching was like the big thing that you're offering, but then
Yeah,
it starts off with like buy the book first
I see.
as a,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
I think that there's some ways that we could reorganize things to still give people that option of like, hey, the book can be a great place to start. But on your services page where you want to sell one-to-one services, I would probably not make buying the book the first step of the journey. Because some people just like want to hire you. They just, they're here, they're like, they want coaching help. And having the book on Amazon can be a great funnel and a great way to be found and bring people into your world and all of that. But then people are coming to your website, they might be ready to work with you. Okay. So yeah, all right. And then this is yeah, I feel like there's, I think it's good. I almost think, I don't, quizzes are sometimes a tough, I created one quiz in my business and it took me like 3 months. But I don't think you need to spend that long. But I think it could be fun if you made some of this into a quiz to just, if people were interested, if they wanted to find out, are they ready? Or like, yeah, are you going to get the most out of career coaching? Are you ready for a career coach? To just have a fun quiz but have this page be talking about the problem again, the struggle, what it is at the top, and having a button that is, again, to book a call, and then you're going to talk, and then you could have a banner here or a section that says, are you ready for career coaching? Take the quiz to find out. And then they could take the quiz, and then you could move all of this content off into a quiz. I also don't know that I really think that this is the best use of the space. Like the quote's also a lot of words for someone to read. I would really get into, yeah, because I'm scanning this very quickly, obviously.
Yeah.
But I would love to know, like, what is, okay, now we're getting somewhere. 3-session coaching package. So I would not make them have to click things. I would just literally have your packages here written, who's it for? If you want to get started, click this button, have that quiz. I would have more testimonials. You could also have, if a quiz doesn't feel right, you could have a workbook that is for people to work through these questions. I know some of this though it's about the book and all of that. Another thing that I've done on our website templates is we have like a little process thing. So we talk about all the things and talk about the services and whatever, and then you could have like, what's the process to get started? And so you could have a little process that says, step 1, if you want to learn more before diving in, like buy the book. If you're ready to get going and, work with me, it's just set up a discovery call.
Yeah.
And then 3, we're going to create a plan and start working through and getting you to your transformation. So, kind of like an optional first step if they want.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I think the stuff that FAQs are great.
I think the stuff that you're looking for in this page is in the next page, which is better self. So that's where it really describes what the coaching program looks like.
Okay.
It's almost the landing page for both of them, but this gives more of that philosophy and background and how we work together. And
okay. Well, potentially
saying it's all over the place.
Yeah.
It's got bits and pieces everywhere without repeating myself too. So
yeah. I'm just wondering then. Yeah, so maybe think through, this might be better to be the first in the navigation. If it's kind of covering both pages, I would just be thinking about, how can you be getting people that information? Because although I know you don't want to repeat yourself, if these are 2 different types of customers, then they're probably not reading through both of these pages. If someone's looking for career coaching, they're going to go to that page or this one. So, and you can kind of talk through the philosophy being slightly different, but just thinking about that, they're 2 different customers and they might be coming to those pages independently anyway. So.
And Whitney, I know we only have a couple minutes left.
Oh, yeah, and I know you, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
this is honestly, this is an amazing. It's so much fun to watch. So thank you, Jessica, for sharing. Seeing it in action, I feel like I'm learning a ton too. I've been looking at our Money Central's website as you've been going. Number one, I want to give you time to talk about your upcoming workshop. And then number two, I didn't know if we want to give one other person a quick chance to like share screen and get a first impression, like a 2-minute screen share. I know Raina had asked if there was time, if she could do a screen share too.
Yeah, Jessica, hopefully this was helpful.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. And
totally.
I think it's great. I love the colors and like the vibrancy and all of that. So I hope that this helps you kind of see some ways to make it even better. So great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We got more.
Share my screen. Raina, hello.
Hi. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so here is your site. And so you. Okay. Right, so I love that you're kind of calling out who you serve and how you're going to help them in, specific situations. I think that's great. You've got that strategy call. I would recommend throwing it up here or making this, also be that as people kind of scroll through.
Okay.
I would maybe consider shortening this just a little bit so it's a little bit more scannable.
Okay.
And this is obviously, like you guys know, a very quick take, very hot take.
No, this
so
is great.
I'm not
No,
even
I'm so
reading.
grateful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And great. I love that. Yeah. You've got your core services, speaking and coaching. Okay. And then we're at the bottom here. You got your mailing list. Okay. So okay. So is your focus, are you hoping to book more speaking or more coaching? Or
More
is it really
coaching.
even more coaching? Okay. So I always love
Honestly,
it.
both. I'm saying that as I'm saying it, it's like either or. Yeah.
Okay. So I love it when people talk a little bit more about their services on their homepage before just sending people to a services page about, whatever the thing is.
Okay.
So, and this is a pretty short page. So I feel like you have some room. It's not like endlessly scrolling either. So I would break these up into 2 sections and have a section about your coaching. And if that is the thing that you want to sell a little bit more of, have that one first. Talk a little bit about who it's for, the kinds of offerings you have before I even clicked over to the page. Because again, if I'm just really fast scrolling through the internet, Google search results, I found a few coaches, you popped up, I'm looking at your site real quick, and I have to be digging to be like, what kind of coaching does she offer? What are the lengths of the packages? All of that. Nothing is really giving me any hints and making, it's just learn more. So I would break those out, have a testimonial or 2, some social proof on the homepage as well, if you can. And if you have any interest in building your email list, with like a lead magnet, I think that can be a great addition to the homepage as well for anyone who, because it also just helps them kind of get a sense of what it is that you help people with and work with them on, because our lead magnet is obviously the beginning part of our funnel. So it's just going to give a little bit more information too. So I'm going to click on coaching. And I'm guessing this is a formatting issue. Sometimes different screen sizes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I'm in Safari, which is sometimes not the best browser anymore, but I can't break the habit. Okay, so background. Yeah, so I would talk about your customers a little bit more.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, and also most websites these days, when you click on this is some very small, but when you click on the logo, it goes to the home page. It's okay that you have the home in here, but I would also see if you can make the logo clickable. And so I think that just going back to kind of like the copy then is thinking about how you can be calling out and speaking to your customer more about like what they're going through, what they're struggling with. I think that some of this copy is really powerful in terms of aligning position and income with impact, and they're in rooms in which decisions are being made. I think you could potentially elicit even more emotional response from visitors if you were to kind of call out the frustrations that women are feeling when they are in that room and they're feeling like they're being overlooked, or that they are in a position of power, but yet they don't feel that way and they're not being treated that way. And so that they can just really be like, yeah, because it seems like that's what you're about, really, creating that power, but maybe giving a little bit more of that kind of emotional connection with some words that are speaking to what they're actually feeling.
So maybe something like undervalued, underpaid, overworked.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
just off the top of my head.
right. Some of that kind of language, you could test that out, see how that goes. And you're going to expand upon it and kind of say, okay, a little bit more about what they're feeling. But yeah, exactly. So that, and we want things to be scannable, easy. Again, that whole grunt test thing, just like, can a caveman in 2 seconds understand what you're about? While I do really love the language you're using, it could be a little bit wordy, especially over like a busy image. I think this is a beautiful photo of you. But maybe even saying like, all right, I'm going to take this text out, I'm going to drop it into the next section and have this just be, you could even have it be like a shorter one, like you just mentioned, the tagline you just mentioned, and then having like a subheading that is maybe this length of words, and then having that schedule a free strategy call, and then have a section that is saying some of this to this effect, or calling people out a little bit more, because we really just want to strike that balance, especially when it comes to web. We need to say less, or we need to say more with less. Especially when we've got like a more busy photo in the background. So I think that's my initial take. And then I would really try and find how you can pull out maybe your own background and stories a little bit. But you're talking about overcoming imposter syndrome and negative self-talk. Like, those are great things that I think your customers will be looking for, but it's kind of buried in this block of text. And it's also, to me, kind of like background, like, I don't want to read about the background. Like, I came to the services page, I want to take action. I want to know, like, what are we going to work on and all of that. So, it's kind of like a research paper, and you're like, man, I'm just going to skip the background and I just want to go straight to the results summary section. So I would think about how you can, again, be like really speaking to your customer, the words that they're using, have that be kind of the conversation, less so about you until the end a little bit more. We want to convince them that, that this is for them. And then you're going to then tell them like how you're qualified to help them. So I do like that you've got all of your different options here, I would say. And then, you've got testimonials here. So I think having those on the homepage is really great. And I would say, okay, this is going to, so is your book a call? Oh, okay, it's it's Calendly. Okay. So, that's interesting. Hold on, let's look at this real quick. So another thing that I would recommend is having a page on your site that you can embed just your discovery call scheduler in, because what can happen is someone comes here and they're like, wait, which one? What am I looking for? Which is, okay, is it a coffee virtual chat? I don't know. So want to just, and I personally like keeping people on the website for as long as possible, and having them kind of feel like they're in your space. So create that page, embed that one specific appointment, And then I would make sure for sure on your services pages that that's where you're sending people, because it looks like from the link, these are going just to the contact page. They're not actually going to that book a call, which I'm assuming is that first spot in your sales funnel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's a little quick and dirty assessment.
Thanks,
No, that's
Whitney. That was
brilliant. I love it.
awesome.
I just
Yeah.
redid it, so I'm still working through all of it. So this is really incredibly helpful.
Good,
Yeah.
awesome.
It
Great.
really is. Thank you so much. And I'm going to send out a follow-up to the whole group to share your workshop link, but if you want to promote
Yeah.
it, these folks would probably love to come too.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much. And thank you all for hanging on here. And it looks like, Tim, you're on a walk. I love it. Making sure you get that sunshine in. So yeah, I'm hosting a free workshop tomorrow and Wednesday about the concepts that I've covered, but going into a lot more detail of how your website is potentially losing your clients right now and how to build in all those things that is going to make it more powerful. So it is being held at, let's see, 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and then 12 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. And if those time slots don't work for you, I know this is Pacific time for at least Annie, but maybe for some of you as well. It is being recorded too, so feel free to register and you'll get the recording. I also have a workbook that comes with the class too. And then at the end of the class, you will hear me talk about the Wellness Pro website system, which is my course. So if it's something you even just want to hear about, even if, it sounds like both of you got your websites, you're not looking necessarily to change right now. But one of the things that I work on is I help people with WordPress. Because that generally is the one that converts better. Well, it generates more traffic. It does better in Google search. So if you're ever looking to switch platforms, then that's something I help people with. And even just, checking out the course to see what it's about. Or if there's other people in your network, other colleagues that might be a good fit. I always am appreciative for anyone sharing me with others. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Whitney. This was amazing. I feel like I learned so many little tiny things that are so powerful. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Whitney. And if we want to send people your way, just send them to your website.
Yeah, just whitneybateson.com is the fastest, easiest way to do it. I also have a podcast and I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn and all those places too. But yeah, my website's a great place to start.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Yes, thank you, Whitney.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, all of you. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, take care, Whitney. And I think we'll wrap up there since we're over time. So bye, everyone. And I will see you all soon.
Thanks.
Bye.